Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are. I'm Chuck Zoller, Manager of Special Projects for the Associated Press. Thank you all for joining us today. Welcome to our first ever AP Images Facebook Live. We're starting off with what promises to be a great show tonight. We'll be talking to longtime AP photographer Nick Utt and author Hal Buell of the just released book, From Hell to Hollywood. We're live now on AP Images Facebook, Twitter, and the AP Archive YouTube account, and we'd love to hear where you're watching from. And with that, it's my pleasure to welcome two of the hardest working retirees in photojournalism, Hal and Nick. Hi, guys. Hal Buell was head of AP's global news photo operation for some 25 years. The AP received 10 Pulitzer Prizes for photography on his watch, and he also led AP's transition to digital photography and digital photo editing. Hal is also the author of a number of books on the history of photojournalism. Nick Utt had a 51-year career at the AP. He's the 1973 winner of the Pulitzer Prize and World Press Photo of the Year for the famous Kim Phuc photo, as well as numerous other awards. We'll be discussing the book and Nick's career, and we should be able to answer questions at the end of tonight's discussion. So let's get started. Starting out with Hal. Hal, you've known and worked with Nick for decades, and you've authored a number of books on photojournalism, notably a very successful book on the photos that have won Pulitzer Prizes, among others. That probably makes you the most qualified person to write this book. How did it come together?
Well, I got a call from the AP in which they said we've been thinking about doing a book about Nick. And to tell you the truth, I thought over some time, I've known Nick very well. We both very active in the Eddie Adams workshop every year. And I often thought Nick would make a good story. His story of Nick himself, along with the story of the picture, had a dynamic relation that goes to a good tale. So when the AP called and said, "Are you interested?" I said, "Yeah, really interested. Let's go. Let's try it. Let's give it a shot and see how we go." And so we did an outline, and then we moved on from there to complete the book. And we called it From Hell to Hollywood, which is really the story of Nick. It's a couple of hundred pages, got a couple of hundred pictures, thousands and thousands of words, and we hope people will have a chance to enjoy it and to hear the story of a very interesting fellow.
And let me shamelessly point out that the book is available on Amazon and wherever books are sold. So Hal, Nick is well known, you might even say famous, for the Pulitzer Prize winning photo of the napalm girl, Kim Phuc. And the title of the book, From Hell to Hollywood, that tells us something, that Nick's career is much more than the single photo, even as iconic as it is. Would you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely. Nick, before Nick did combat photography, he was doing feature stories in Saigon, I call it street photography, but accompanying stories. And once he left Vietnam, that was his end of his career as a combat photographer. Although some of the stories he covered in LA, it seemed like combat. I'm sure we'll get to that some during the course of the evening. But Nick switched over to celebrity photography. Maybe I should requalify that. Some of that celebrity photography dealing with paparazzi was like combat. But Nick got to it and became a classic wire service Hollywood celebrity photographer and a hard news photographer. God bless him. Good job, Nick. That was quite a switch from the war to glitzy Hollywood.
Thanks. Thank you, sir.
So Nick, tell us, what's it like to have your life story in print, and what's been the reaction to the book?
I'm so exciting when when beginning with Bill told me they want to write a book, my story. I said, yes, the AP. Oh, I'm exciting. That I have so many friends of mine called. They said they love Nicky. They beginning. They say, Nicky, you have a book. I want to buy. Mhm.
I hope that's true, Nick.
That's true. I tried, I almost try to book people every week now. Yeah, I have to go to board office, spend my time to try to book and go to board office.
Good.
Yeah,
Nick, I need you to sign my book, by the way.
yeah, I will. You know,
Nick, we'll cover a lot of ground today, but no discussion of your career would be complete without going into the photo of Kim Phuc. This photo, shot on June 8th, 1972, it's among the most recognized in photojournalism. Now, the book gives a riveting account of the events of that day, but I want to draw everyone's attention to one aspect of this. Nick, you are a wire service photographer on deadline in a very competitive environment. This was during an intense rivalry by the AP and UPI. So after shooting your photos, there was tremendous urgency to get your film back to Saigon, to the bureau, to be processed. But you made the decision to come to the aid of Kim Phuc, who was terribly burned. Can you tell us how you made that decision and what transpired?
I've been after I took a picture of Kim Phuc. I saw many media really all gone. Nobody helped her. Then the moment I saw her grandfather call me, can you bring all the kids to the hospital? I said, yes, I want to do. Really, I want to hurry, go back office, AP office Saigon. But I don't want Kim, she died. That's why I want to take her the hospital first before I'm go back to AP. And really from the pagoda to the Kuchi hospital about 35 minutes driving. And I said, I go that way anyway. Then I want to drop Kim the hospital first to share her life. All the media that day, more 10 media TV camera, they all that happened when the bomb dropped. They have good picture. They laugh. Either the friend of my BBC helped me with the water, Kim body. Then they leaving too. Nobody want to take her to the hospital. I say I'm decide what to help her. Bring her to maybe save her life. When I'm there, the nurse told me they don't believe she's still alive. She thinks she died maybe next 30 minutes or hour. Then I asked her, can you please help her bring her to the hospital? And they asked me, take Kim to Children's Hospital in Saigon. I said, 1 more hour, 2 more hours, she'll be dead. I cannot bring her there. That's why I show my media path. And I say I'm a photographer for AP. If she died, my picture front page, every newspaper in the world. They bring her right away after I tell the story. Then I go back to the van with my driver. I say, I hurry, go back to Saigon right away. Mm-hmm.
And that probably saved her life. The photo on the screen right now is the only photo that I'm aware of actually shot by AP's competition, showing Nick and Kim Phuc at the scene of the bombing.
This picture, photographer, he the Vietnamese photographer, Yuan, he shot for AP and UBI. That day he saw AP. We have many pictures. That's why we don't buy any picture of him. Then he go to UBI. He sell all his picture. But Kim by herself and me with Kim. But she don't have the Kim running. When the bomb coming down, he makes everything. He rewrite a film. Him and Dave Burnett, they are something. When Kim get out the pagoda. Mm-hmm.
Speaking of film and the cameras of the day, this was in the days long before autofocus, before auto exposure, before digital cameras. On your way back to the Saigon bureau, after you took Kim to the hospital, you didn't even know if you had made a usable frame. What was going through your mind on that trip?
I know I have a good picture. I'm sure of it when I arrived AP Saigon. AP chief doctor in Japan, Ishizaki Jackson. He looked at me. I said, Nikki, what happened? And Richard Pye and George Edper, all AP office, so I'm so nervous. And then I told Ishizaki Jackson, I said, I have very good picture. Can you go doctor and help me? I had an extra of him. We go doctor of him develop. And after film develop and washing and driving, and Jackson, he only won that afternoon because most people had lunch. And Jackson looked my film first. He said, Nikki, what happened? Why the girl naked? Why you go naked, girl? I said, no, this is a picture when you see the negative four bomb coming down. She burned all her clothes. And Jackson and me, we go doctor make one picture 5x7 and write the picture first and leave for the Lightroom. And after like 10, 15 minutes, hot fat coming back, Bureau would be there. And he looked my pictures, then he said, whose picture is that? And Jackson told him that liquid photo. We had a big photo editor that day anyway. And after everybody coming back for lunch. Then the bidder had come in and look for my picture, say, very good picture. And hot fat at me, said, Nikki, what happened, little girl? Why she clothes? And I told about napalm burned her the body, and many children died that day. And Fat, he yelled and he went look on my film. I said, why the picture's still here? Don't send to New York. I want you to write caption right away to the picture before, too late. And after the caption really, me and I went to the radio station in Saigon, transmit the picture. We're so lucky that day because the weather was good, the phone line very good. We sent them Saigon, Tokyo very fast from there to New York. And I spent almost evening with Hot Fat, and we talking about the picture. We moved many pictures. The fighting, the under, the soldier, all kind of picture that day. Then I think I left AP about almost like 7 or 8 o'clock evening. And Hot Pot told me again, said, Nikki, you and me, Peter and Ed, we go back to the village tomorrow, same place. We went there 7 in the morning. We looked for still a lot of black smoke around Cowdie and smell like dead body. And we talked to South Vietnamese commander there. And I saw the woman down the highway running and with her husband. I took a very nice picture of her. Then I asked her, who is she? She's looking at my daughter, Kim Fook. I said, oh my God, her mother. Then I told the mother, I said, Kim might be died already in the hospital. I show exactly where she can go. She jumped in the small good driver and with her husband to Kuchi Hospital. Mm-hmm. But after that, because the Kim picture is so famous, they transfer Saigon children right away that day. Because so many volunteer doctors, she more than 10 doctors helped her. That's why she's still alive. She belongs to many doctors because the pictures show in the paper. And the Japanese doctor, French doctor, Canada, American, amazing. And many years, me and her, we met the Vietnamese doctor again. She's still alive, live in California. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I just learned something I didn't know. So, Nick, the famous piece of film, the famous negative, is frame number 7, and that has some special significance for you. Can you tell us what that means?
This is 7. This is my I number 11. My brother, he born number 7. In Vietnamese, called number 7 in the family, not called the name, And I call my foot like number 1, number 2, and my brother number 7. And after I rubbed Kim Fook in the Kuchi Hospital, in the van, I so nervous. I framed my brother because I always thinking about my brother next to me. when after he died, always think about him so much. Everywhere so danger. I always pray my brother help me. Then after the picture, I call my brother. Please help me. I hope I had a good picture today. 1965, I played with my brother, number 7. He always coming back with all the picture of the war. He show his wife and me. It's a hit war. He won the picture one day in the war. Then what happened that day? I told my brother, I think I had a picture for you today, my brother number 7. That picture you won, maybe in the war. Mm-hmm.
That brother that you're referring to, number 7, that's Hyun Tan Mi. He was killed on assignment. That led to you taking the job in AP's Saigon bureau. Can you tell us how that happened?
This picture, my brother, he was killed 1965 in Mekong Delta in October. I, with my sister-in-law or her family, we together in the afternoon play game. And one day, AP photographer Lê Ngọc Cung, he had come in the office. I looked around my window. I saw Cung before he come to knock a door. He cried. She must be bad news. And my sister-in-law play game. She pick up the blackjack. She knows she had bad luck that day. And when she come inside, Cung tell my sister, say, when Thân Mỹ died, whole family cried, even me, we all cried because we lost a brother that day and she lost her husband. And after that, with so many AP staff come to house, everyone come visit, The body returned like 2 days later. Sam John and Joe Galloway, he fly through Mekong Delta, take the body home.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Then we had the funeral, like almost 1,000 people. I remember that day, and I only about 15 years old. I carry, picture of my brother. Mm-hmm.
One thing that Hal brings out in the book is the recurring theme of your brother's influence on you throughout your career. But you also worked alongside some of the most storied photographers of the war in AP Saigon Bureau. You mentioned Horst Foss, who ran the photo operation for AP in Vietnam. Also, Henri Huet and Eddie Adams. They're all legends. What was their influence on you?
When I joined AP Saigon, I'm so lucky I work with all AP photographer, Eddie Adams, Horst Foss, Henry Huet, and many people come in and out. I'm so lucky. I learned so much from them. And really, 1970, me and Henry Huet, we had waiting for the Lamson operation in Laos. Then I spent over a week with the U.S. Marine and me, Henry, Labor, many photographers stand by every day because there's too much foggy, and the helicopter can take in the media in Laos. I remember, like after January and the Marines say open operation, the weather look good. BIO tell the media who want to go, only a poor camera, each company. Then Henry told me, said, Nikki, I need go Hong Kong vacation. Let me go first. Then when Henry wanted to say, he like my the brother, my good friend, when he in Saigon with me, we all coffee together. And he told me, he said, Nikki, I said, okay, Henry, you can go. Then I took C-130. I fly them, I to Airbus to them there to Tan Son Nhut Airport in Saigon. But I don't want to go home. I want to go to AP office first before my next assignment. Then I walked the Alien building. I saw Hot Fat, AP staff in Saigon, very sad. But it's not until you hear people write story about photographers get shot. And Hot Fat told me, said, Nikki, do you see Henry? I said, yes, he took my seat. And then Hot shook his head. I said, Nikki, everyone died that day. hmm Then a couple hours later, I go home, change my clothes, and I fly back right away, Keshan. From there, I took another helicopter flight in Hill 31 with the whole Jensen AP reporter. We stand the Hill 31. I asked so many soldiers, you see any helicopter get shot? They say the shot of black smoke. And I asked, if the shot like that, do you think everyone still alive? I said, no way, everyone will be dead because from anti-aircraft. Then I spent evening in Laos, and I took another helicopter flight back to Kherson. I stayed almost a week there. Every day I took a picture of the soldier dead body coming back to Kherson. Then looking for the AP body photographer, Henry, Labor, everyone in the helicopter. But all week I didn't hear nothing. Then I go back to Saigon again. Mhm.
That incident that you're describing, that's the loss of the helicopter over Laos, where Henri Huet, Larry Burroughs, and two other Western photojournalists died in that incident in 1971. Hal, one last point on the Kim Phuc photo. There's an interesting story to how AP handled that photo. Nick described some of the handling in Saigon, but you saw it from the New York side. Can you tell us about that?
Well, we got a message from Horace that day in which he said, hey, we got some pretty good pictures here. And we're going to file them in. You want to make sure you take a personal look at them. I was in charge of the photo service at that time, but he said it may be tough, but take a look at them, and we think they're very important. So of course we did, and pictures of that kind historically. Now we're talking about days when print was a much more effective form of media. The pictures of that kind always drew a very negative response, sometimes from editors, sometimes from readers. The horror of it, the brutality of it, just the terrible, shocking nature of the picture turns readers off, and they complain about them. In this case, it was complicated because of the nudity. We had a pretty heavy rule at that time that we would not carry pictures on the wire of full frontal nudity. Some may recall those are the early days of the streaker fad, where kids and people of all ages would run naked around sports events and create a stir. And we had to be careful about how we handle pictures like that. And this picture came into that, and there was some reluctance. And we discussed it briefly at the desk in New York, and it was clear, at least to me and to many of the editors, the picture was really captured the terror and the horror of war, and that the nudity in this case was not prurient in any sense of the word, and that even though we had a rule about full frontal nudity, that was a rule, more like a guideline, and it was a guideline to be set aside if the picture overtook it. And when you look at the picture, it's very well composed, and there's a dynamic to it. The young boy, Kim's brother, at the left of the picture is screaming, and there are two children running in the background holding hands. The boy was injured also, by the way, and the picture, the composition was very good. In the background, the cloud of the napalm strike. And in the center, right smack in the center, is the center of the picture, which is Kim Phuc running down the highway with her arms and screaming. I believe she was screaming, too hot, Nick tells me, in Vietnamese.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so we said after about a 15-minute talk that the picture goes. So we put it on the wire, and And at that time, New York was the gateway to the world. The picture that came to us from Vietnam ran through Tokyo and into New York, and the only people that saw it were pictures into New York in the Tokyo bureau. But when it got to New York, it was yes or no on world distribution. And as I said, we decided it was an important picture that had to be seen all it went. And by that time, Horst called. It was very tough to get a phone call too from Saigon in those days because they were all radio links, and radio was very unreliable. But he got through and he said, "What's going on?" I said, "Horst, don't worry about this. The picture's already on the wire. Come ahead with anything else that you've got that will support the picture." And by that time, we had 2 or 3 more, and I think we transmitted 5 or 6 pictures that day, and a couple of more the next day, and it repeated the same picture the next day. Despite the nature of the picture, and despite what I just said about what was generally the reaction to pictures of that kind, I never received, and I would have received complaints would have come to my desk. We never received any complaints about the picture, and in fact, despite the nudity, it was printed widely on the front pages of newspapers worldwide. So I think we made a good call at the time, and the picture since has turned up repeatedly. I'm sure we'll get to it later as we talk about it. It just keeps turning up as not just a picture of Vietnam. It's a picture that transcends Vietnam. It's a picture that captures in one quick look, one quick visual image, the horror of war and its impact on innocents that are caught in the crossfire of the fighting that happens in all wars. Other things have happened like that, but there's never a photographer there that made them. In this case, Nick was there, and he made this picture, which is one of the great icons of photographic news history.
I think history bears out that you made the right call on the picture, Hal. What did Horst Voss mean when he said that it's a picture that never rests?
That was a very good line that he delivered, and it doesn't rest because it keeps turning up. The case which Nick was assigned to cover Paris Hilton, she had gotten in some trouble, minor, silly Hollywood trouble, and she was going to be put in jail for 2 weeks, and then the assignment fell to Nick to make a picture of her going off to jail. And the best he could do was make a grab shot through the windshield of the car as it went out. And of all the strange coincidences, that picture was made exactly 35 years to the day that he made the picture of Kim Phuc on the highway in Vietnam. And it not only to the day, but pretty close to the time of day, midday. And it brought the picture up again. People began talking about it. Oh, look, there were several stories comparing the 2 pictures. It came up also when it was published in a Norwegian paper had done a series of stories on the Great War photographers and Great War photography, and they put this on Facebook. And Facebook canceled the picture and pulled it off because their logarithm said it showed nudity. And that was a no-no at that time in Facebook. That was rather recently, several years ago. And it caused a real stir to the point that Facebook had to put the picture back onto Facebook. And when Nick retired, I attended one of his many retirement parties. Nick, you had a lot of retirement parties that period. But I went to the one that the AP gave for Nick, and a lot of the people were there. A lot of them were veterans, and a lot of them were people of an age that said, "Nick, your picture saved me from having to go to Vietnam. Your picture shortened my stay in Vietnam. Your picture contributed to the end of the war." And so the point is, it keeps turning up. It keeps coming up over and over again. And I'm sure we'll see instances in the future where it comes up in one way or another. Of course, it's in all the collections of famous war pictures or the famous icons. So, as Horst said, it's simply a picture that doesn't rest. It's always there.
That arc of 35 years from the Kim Phuc photo to the Paris Hilton photo. If I'm not mistaken, that's where the phrase "from hell to Hollywood" was coined, and hence the title of the book. Is that right?
Yes. Well, yes. That was a paparazzi type job. Incidentally, there was an interesting fallout on that picture. It gives some insight into the AP, and that is that there was some critics saying, how could the AP assign Nick Ut, who made one of the world's greatest pictures, to a paparazzi event? And my answer was, you have to understand something about the AP, and I'm sure Nick will testify to this. Photographers are not coddled in the AP. You can be a hero today, and tomorrow you come to the office and you take your assignments off the top just like everybody else. And that was Nick's assignment that day on Paris Hilton.
That actually leads us into our next question. Nick, you continued working virtually till the last day of the war until you were evacuated by AP. And then you had a stint in the Tokyo bureau as a staff photographer before transferring as a staffer in the LA bureau. What was the biggest adjustment for you? And I think Hal may have just touched on it, going from combat photography, working in Asia, to general assignment photography in LA.
After 1975 fall of Saigon, then I come to LA before I transfer to Japan. Everything different for me. Go to the war and shoot a baseball in Japan. Shoot me different assignment. After 2 years, I learned so much to shoot the sports, but don't think about war anymore. Then transfer back to LA. Almost my assignment not different from Tokyo to LA. AP give me all my assignment should cover the general assignment like politics, the president, or sport, hockey, Hollywood. But most I shoot so many Hollywood in people go in jail, Marlon Brando, actor Jaja Gabor. I see so many movie stars. I never see them before. I watch in a movie. I saw in a movie only, but now my life talk to them. I take a picture of them.
Nick, I want to jump in here. Chuck, I want to throw a story at Nick. Nick, you covered the big riots in Los Angeles back when the Rodney King affair followed, and you told me, and it's in the book, that the only time in your life, including combat photography, that you were personally threatened with someone with a weapon was during those riots. Could you tell us that story?
Yeah.
That was kind of for me.
That happened after the four police officer not guilty, and the people were very angry, protest everywhere, burning, look like war. Then AP sent me to LA shooting picture, but very dark at night, but more danger. Spencer, John, my boss said, Nicky, don't go there now, too late to bed. I don't want you to go there, but you had to go early tomorrow morning. I'm go there early morning, then I saw the people angry with the camera. And he hold a gun and say, if you stay longer, I will shoot you. Then I get up, I'm leaving, When I saw the National Guard come in, then I coming back again, take all the picture. And the picture, the guy showed a big side angry after the outside bullet headquarters and protest, burn on the newspaper, all kinds of things. Then I met him a couple of years ago. Now we become the friend on Facebook. Mm-hmm.
That's the man with the peace sign T-shirt. That you're referring to?
Mm-hmm. And like a couple hundred people outside police station. Not easy. Should be score. Protest. Sometimes you cover very danger. Not like war. War, I know where I'm going, but this, people throw the rock or guys is so danger for you. Mm-hmm.
That was in the aftermath of the verdict in the Rodney King beating in 1992.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm.
Nick, you also shot the O.J. Simpson trial.
I cover almost every day O.J. Simpson inside the court and outside. This the big history of O.J. The media cover, couple hundred journalists every day. Picture the lawyer arrival, O.J. arrival. Spend all day from early morning until before the court closed, like 5 o'clock. And we keep shooting OJ and the lawyer almost every day. After the verdict over, then another OJ try again, Santa Monica. Then I could cover too, many years for OJ. Mm.
Did you get to know him at all?
Look what?
Did you get to know OJ?
Oh, I know OJ very well, and when the verdict in the second one, I know the lawyer very well. They allowed me inside for the verdict only. You remember that we shot a digital camera N90, the first digital. My picture front page every newspaper in the world that day because I only one photographer inside and one TV. Mm-hmm.
Nick, your celebrity photography, is it true that your experience in Vietnam with the Kim Phuc photo, winning the Pulitzer Prize, it softened up some of the celebrities that otherwise wouldn't be too happy to have a photographer around?
I get along with all the movie stars in Hollywood because they know who I am. Because they have most of big stars, they have Sportman. Then the introductor is Nick Wood, one of Vietnam Pulitzer Prize. I remember I took pictures of actress John Collins almost 2 months in the courthouse. And she looked, tell the judge why only one Asian photographer in the court, no one in the courthouse. Why is not allow any company? Why only that man only Asian guys? She don't know who I am. And after the verdict over, then AP want to do her story in Bel Air. I went there. I saw John again. She told me, you again. And her spokesman is John come here. I told Nick Wood. I said, I know him, see him every day. And you don't know his story. That man, very famous photographer, picture the napalm girl. She's, oh my God. Then after that, she opened a champagne, invite me drink in her house. And before I go to Vietnam, my assignment. And she said, oh, Nikki, I hope your family, everything fine in Vietnam. She's so nice to me, Same thing I cooked the class. When I took a picture of him, I said, Nick, don't take many more pictures. We go lunch together. I had same thing my brother too. He don't like photographer, but I get along with him very well. When the lawyer told him about who I am, and a picture, when I walk the courthouse, she hold my throat, and walk outside the court, 100 media picture me and my brother together. That's amazing, believable.
That's great. Let me change the pace a little bit here. You're kind of a specialist with photos of the moon. Is that true?
Yeah.
Your pictures of the moon?
Yeah, my after retire, either before I still work in AP, I would shoot a lot of moon. I go to AP, then they not give assignment, but I love pictures moon. I send to AP, the picture, front page or newspaper everywhere in the world. I remember people call me that the picture look like Photoshop, and after that, CBS do my story about photographer shoot the full moon. And I invite main photographer, either AP photographer, to do my 60 minutes about the moon shot. And I never hear anyone tell me that Photoshop anymore. They love my picture. 100,000 people they in the world, they show the Facebook, they say like 30,000 people say, oh, that look like Photoshop. Now many years I took a picture of the moon, nobody say nothing no more. I told I'm an AP photographer, I shoot for real, nothing about face, but I not recommend anything.
Those photos have gotten a lot of use. They show up everywhere.
I told people I learned so much from AP when I 16. I don't want big mistake. I don't want to do any Photoshop and nothing. I'm really, photojournalist. Either after I'm retired, I don't want to do anything at big tech. I still shooting all news story.
And you're also doing a lot of nature photography, especially since retirement.
Yeah, after retire, I shoot everything. Shoot the bird, the landscape. I travel a lot in California, everywhere. And this picture, the eagle come back with a fish. They had two baby there, and I had a big long lens. So this is the eagle come in, and I shoot so many Alfred. Boy eagle in almost every week. Keep shooting. I think I go tomorrow again, shoot some different birds and flower. Moon almost every month. I plan the next 2 weeks. I go yesterday shoot a landscape. I call it Star Trail at night, long exposure.
For those of us that are photo geeks, what lens would you be using for something like that eagle shot?
Oh, you need about 600.
600?
Yeah, and one because a long way, too far away. And I just wait for the eagle come back with a fit, give the baby. I have so many good pictures of them,
Thanks, Nick. A question for Hal. When you look back at the decades that you worked with Nick, what are the qualities that made him such an essential wire service photographer?
Well, I think Nick's overriding quality is his persistence. We didn't mention it, but when Nick's brother was killed, Nick and his sister-in-law came to the AP looking for a job for Nick. And the first reaction was no, Nick is too young to work in the AP. And I will tell you this story, Nick, which I don't think I've ever told you. But when Mee was killed, Horst happened to be in New York at that time for one of our AP annual meetings. And we got the message. It came in typed on all of you guys know what the paper looks like. It's like newsprint paper, typed out, telegraphic type message telling of his death. And Horst was very fond of me, as you know. And he went over in the corner of the office at a desk that was empty, and he put his head down and he actually wept. And I don't mean he wept. I mean, he was weeping at the loss of me. And when you came looking for a job, he was fearful that your family could not stand, and I think your father had died recently also at the time when your brother was killed. He couldn't afford to have a young, inexperienced person out shooting war pictures and get killed. It'd be a third death for their family. So he was very strong about you not joining the AP at that time. But Nick wouldn't let go. He kept coming back and coming back and coming back. And finally, Horst and the chief of bureau at that time, a man named Ed White, said, okay, Nick, we'll bring you in, but you will never, ever shoot combat pictures. And you're going to work in the darkroom. And Nick did. For 2 years, he worked in the darkroom. And he mentioned that earlier when he was talking about working with all these other photographers and handling their film and making prints. He learned a lot about photography in those days. And when Nick got to combat, it was during the Tet Offensive of 1968. Nick didn't go to war. The war came to Nick. And when Saigon was under some heavy fighting at the time, and there was Nick on his scooter, and we mentioned this in the book. I said, how did you find the battles? It was all over Saigon. And he said, I follow the smoke. I look for the smoke, and that's where the battle was. And off he'd go on his scooter, and he made pictures. And he established himself as capable, as young as he was, of shooting combat photography. And Horst said, nothing more I can do. So he let Nick go out into the field, and we all know the results. But that wasn't the only persistence. He went to Tokyo, and he persisted at Tokyo. I think the winter, Nick was wounded three times, and we didn't get that much. And he still carries a piece of shrapnel in one of his legs. And I think the winter cold had a negative effect on Nick. And he decided at that time that he would seek assignment in the U.S. and also seek U.S. citizenship, which the AP said okay, and that's how Nick ended up. He had the choice of Washington and Los Angeles, and wisely took Los Angeles.
Mm-hmm.
So but throughout, and then AP was going to reopen its bureau in Hanoi, and Nick was the first guy in pounding on the desk. I'm exaggerating a little bit, making his desires known that he'd like to be there when they opened the bureau. And sure enough, he and George Esper, who was one of the correspondents to stay in Saigon after the fall of Saigon, he and George Esper reopened the bureau, and Nick was there for several months getting the bureau established. And so Nick was always there. He always knew when to pull the switch, Nick, and persistence. And that, persistence is what leads to good pictures too. You just keep trying with your camera, moving it a little bit to the right or the left to get a little better image, and that shows in Nick's pictures.
Well said. Hal, would you describe Nick as an ambassador for the AP over the years?
Well, Nick is surely known as an AP photographer, and you and Nick discussed his. A lot of times the picture was a bit of an entree to the. And Marlon Brando did not like photographers. In New York, he slugged one guy in New York, and he just didn't like photographers. And he didn't like them in his later years because he was pretty heavy, pretty fat. And he kind of ignored Nick. And somebody told him that Nick was the guy who made the napalm picture. And that just turned Brando around. And he started, and Nick tells that story. He told us that story earlier. But there were other instances like that, where once they knew who Nick was and they connected him to the picture, they wanted to talk to Nick and what's the story all about? And that's entree and acceptance, and it all helps make a better picture. Am I wrong on that, Nick?
No, the correct, sir. And I become with Brando and his family. His daughter is a friend of mine today. So we keep talking to all the time, Yeah, we become very good friends.
You had lunch remember when Blake was accused of murdering his wife? Didn't you have lunch with him on the day?
He invited me to lunch with him. Then he invited me to take a picture of him everywhere. So he never stop me. If any photographer want to take a picture of him, he said no. But he know my background about me. And after verdict over, and before verdict, the judge allowed only me inside the courthouse to take a picture of him. The picture of Pohnpei, LA Thai, everyone in the world that day. And, he called me after the verdict over at home. He said, Nicky, can you come to my house, take my picture? We like friends after. And he invited me to lunch. I said, I pay you, but next time you pay Nicky. He's joking over me. Yeah. Then he called me and said, Nicky, I work in Malibu. Can you take a picture of me keeping the hall or that? I said, yes, I go there, Mm-hmm.
The Robert Blake pictures are really very good. Nick, you just returned Sunday from the Mexican border where you were on self-assignment, but you made some remarkable images. What took you to the border and what was it like there?
You know, I from LA right there, St. Louis, as you're about 4 hours driving, and I had to be there early morning because people don't like walking too hard, and they had the wall, you know, like the fan wall, and you can see sometimes the people arrive like 6 a.m. morning. They sleep there a little bit before the border control take them away. That's why I want early picture. Then more people come afternoon or before dark. They there too. I spend all day there. Then maybe like 3 o'clock, go back to my hotel. I coming back again at night.
Let me jump in before we run out of time. There were several lines here that we see of questions asking whether any of us knew George Esper. And of course, you and I both knew George Esper very well.
Yeah.
Esper was a longtime correspondent in Vietnam, and he was the chief of bureau when Saigon collapsed. And in fact, George Esper was the guy who arranged your evacuation from Vietnam a day or 2 days before the city collapsed. That's kind of an interesting.
George Esper, the bureau chief in Saigon, he amazing man. He before the poor Saigon 3 weeks, we had a George called embassy almost every day, talk about all the AP staff Saigon, where they go. We had the list, you know, early. I remember George said, Nikki, you go to Japan. I had to go to the Japanese consulate, need a visa. But, you know, you don't need visa after we go to the American embassy, take care over. Then I remember April like 27, we had all staff stand by in the AP office Saigon. Some sleep there overnight waiting. You know, when the embassy call you, you have to go right away. They had a bus come pick up, then we go to Tanchik Airport. Like you go to tourist, you know, we don't have any trouble. From there to fly to Guam to from there fly to Philippines. Then when landed Philippines, John Nan, he the bureau chief Manila, come airport, big welcome all the AP staff. Then he come visit me almost every day, you know, and George do a very good job, take care of everyone. Last day in Saigon.
When you were evacuated, was it Linda Deutsch, the legendary reporter that came and found you?
Yeah, we in the Guam, and the Linda Deutsch and Japanese photographer Chica. What is he? I forget the name. Anyway, they come to Omikami. They come to the Guam, look at the AP stuff Saigon. And in the tent, we saw the AP tent. And Linda, when she arrived there, she had to look for the AP stuff. She called, hello everyone there. Then I look out, I saw Linda. I said, wow, Linda, you look like Edie later. She laughing. You know, she laughing. Oh, Nikki, you look like a sister. Then we talking that day.
Somebody asked how old you were when you started with AP.
I thought I'm 16.
15.
16, yeah. After my brother died, and a year later, I had a job, AP.
We have a question about what cameras did you use in the heat and humidity of Vietnam?
AP Saigon, we have a Nikon and Leica. Hot Fatilop photographer and report only have Leica camera. And I always have like with me, either when I work in dark room, I take one like a AP office. I go out, eat lunch, and in case a rocket or something, then I have to take a picture. I remember one day in the Saigon River, had a rocket come in, kill so many people. I took a pictures, a lot of under people. I run back to the office, develop my film. I call hot Fachi on my picture about the rocket under people. That way, like the small camera, easy for travel. You know, I remember Saigon. We had Nikon camera, but no motorized. From 24 to 300 Nikon, and then after they give them 500 mirror, but my road lens very difficult cover the war. That's why I carry them 24 to 300, and then my two Leica. Mhm.
And no motor drives at that time.
No motorized that time,
Right.
and I think after the Kim Fook later they had come with a motorized Nikon Air.
Mhm.
The motorized when you shoot the dart or jump a helicopter, motorized a lot of trouble. Mhm.
So Nick, we have some quotes from the book that pretty much sum up your status in your career. Let me ask you: are you ever going to put the cameras down?
I never always had a camera with me. I travel anywhere with my my car had a camera, my house had a camera everywhere. I mean, I never know here the earthquake. That's why I already stand by everything. I charge my battery. Something happened, I use shooting. Mhm.
What does it mean to you to be able to do photography now?
I enjoy so much photographer. I think when my finger don't cannot shoot anymore, then I retire again. But now I enjoy shoot all kind of picture.
Well, you're still making great images. Before we wrap up, are there any other questions? Nick, Hal, anything else you'd like to add?
Only that working with Nick on the book has been a pleasure and informative, and his story is more than the story. Of course, is the Napalm Girl picture, but to me, the story is the career, the beginning at 15 and covering a war, living with war until he lived his whole time at war until he left Vietnam. And then in having the courage and the stamina to be able to make a change, first of all, in Japan, that was no simple adjustment. And then to the United States, and to be thrown from war Japan into the craziness of Los Angeles and all the stories, both solid news and the paparazzi stuff, is a sign of somebody who has a solid head on their shoulders. And working with Nick and reliving a lot of that has just been a fascinating experience. And I hope those who read the book find the same joy in reading it as I had in putting it together. So that's my salute to Nick, who's always been very helpful and good connector, keeps in touch with all of us, as we know. Nick's a great phone guy. Congratulations on your life, Nick.
Oh, thank you, sir. That's why I want to go back to the U.S.-Mexico border. I hope if I won the best picture for before I die, and I look for the children, very important. That the kids sometimes see the camera or they're hiding. I keep waiting. They look 1 second, I had a picture. Mhm.
Well, Nick, you still got it, because those pictures that came out of the border the past couple of weeks were really remarkable.
Yeah, I'm looking for maybe the next 2 weeks. I go to Texas. I saw my friend Carol Guzzi shot yesterday in the river. Amazing picture. That's why I want to go there. find a good picture.
Well, thanks to you both for a really enlightening discussion, and thanks to everyone who joined us. We really appreciate the attention, and I recommend the book highly. It's quite a read.
Good night.
Thank you.